All right, guys, so just a quick update video on the Byte system. My last video, I really wanted just kind of to show what the video signal breakup was like compared to DJI and like the same location in a kind of a more open area. And I guess a lot of the Fat Shark fanboys freaked out because the camera settings were really dark. And that was not my intention. The whole point of the video was not to show anything about the camera settings. And so I went back and I tried to tweak the camera settings so that it would look better. And I completely failed. And the reason is the settings that you have for the DVR are completely different from the settings that you see in your goggles. So what I have here, what I'm showing here, you here in this sort of first part of this demo is settings that I thought looked pretty good in my goggles. And I did go back and readjust everything and try to recalibrate the goggles so that I basically turned my brightness all the way down in my goggles. But it was, it turns out that it's still kind of pretty dark, even with these settings. So I just went back and said, well, since a lot of people get upset when the camera settings aren't right, I just went here and I'm just going to just reset the camera to default to the way they came from the factory. And for me, it's a really bad viewing experience and flying experience. In the goggles, it's extremely overexposed. All the bright areas are completely white. You can't see any details at all. Just to give you sort of an example of what I'm looking at in my goggles is here, I'll just kind of adjust the video settings here and kind of simulate what the brightness looks like to me when the camera settings are on default settings. So my advice is if you get this system, this Byte system, and if you're going to be posting any videos online to YouTube, if you don't want to face the wrath of the Fat Shark fanboys, you should just fly with the default settings and try and adjust your goggle settings to give you a decent flying experience. Now, your goggles may not be able to adjust enough to compensate for the signal that you're getting from the Byte system. So I don't know what to say. So, you're going to probably have to do some combination of adjusting the camera settings as well as the goggle settings to get an optimal image. But if you're going to be posting anything online, I would recommend just going with the default camera settings. And when you record, that's what you're going to get on the DVRs, the default camera settings. And even those, it looks, even on the default settings, it looks kind of dark to me. So I don't know if it's something wrong with my particular camera. I didn't get this review unit for free or anything. I just bought it from Get FPV like everyone else did. And these are perhaps early units. I don't know, maybe it's a beta. I'm not sure why they're selling a beta unit to customers, because I'm just a regular customer like everyone else. And I just review stuff like an ordinary person. I don't try and manipulate things to make things look good or bad. What you see is what you get. It just happens to be that I've exposed and kind of an interesting problem here that if you adjust the camera settings, it's going to look different on the DVR versus what you see in the goggles. So you can't go by what you see in the goggles to produce a good DVR recording that is going to look satisfactory to people on YouTube. And this is the thing. I'm not, I messed around with this for a couple days and I'm just going to throw up my hands. I give up. I failed. Someone else can deal with trying to find the best DVR settings for YouTube, because it's almost impossible to do unless your goggles are calibrated to the way the camera is recording those images to the DVR, which is, I actually don't know. I actually looked at the image on an HDO2 as well, and it looks, pretty bright as well compared to the DVR recordings. So I have a feeling it's something to do with this early firmware. It's going to probably get resolved later. So my advice is just record in the default settings if you're going to be posting anything. But if you're not, then obviously adjust the camera settings to the way it looks good for you. Just don't post those on YouTube and expect people to you know, especially people that are Fat Shark fanboys, to accept those as good results. You know, that's my advice to you guys. If you're gonna be posting anything, don't do that. Just record them at default settings and leave it at that. And if someone else can come up with, you know, good camera settings that'll work for the DVR that looks better than what the factory settings are, yeah, let me know what they are in the comments below, and I'll give them a try. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video. Talk to you later.